another episode of the Ysn Power Hour. DJ Yoakley with you, and it's all brought to you by our friends at Toyota of Warren. A beautiful sunshine-laden day here in the Valley, and I'll tell you what, baseball, softball has been hard to come by this year with all the rain and all that stuff, the ugly stuff that you don't want to talk about, the stuff we hide from for 6 months at a time. But a young man taking advantage constantly while the sun is shining, both literally and figuratively, is the next guest, the first guest on our show today. A young man from East Liverpool who I see a lot of myself in for many different reasons, but the work ethic, the position he plays, and we've been highlighting catchers this week. And to me, you talk about catchers in the Mahoning Valley, you have to start and end with the next guest on our show today. I bring in from the lovely land of East Liverpool, down by the river, the double nickel himself, Mr. Evan Tice. Ticey, what's going on, buddy?
Not much. Thank you for having me on.
Always. Evan, you have been a star on YSN for the last 3 years now. This year, no different, except for I think there's a lot more leadership that's spewing out of you from the off the field level, on the field level. It was something when you were just a freshman and people just expected you to show up and play and hold your court. But now you're seen as a leader, not only on this team, but in the league, in the community. What has changed from your perspective in the last 3 years to put you in the forefront?
My freshman and sophomore year was a lot of I just show up and play and do my thing. And a lot of people take after that and see all the hard work I put in. They follow that. This year, I'm finding myself being more of a vocal leader, pushing kids at practices and pushing them in games and making sure my team stays on point.
One of the things that I've had the honor and pleasure to do is when I talk about you and talk about your game and your character, people just talk about your work ethic, man. They say this kid just works so hard to be in the right place at the right time. Working in the weight room, working in the classroom, working in every single room and being the hardest worker across the board. Where did you learn that, and how are you continuing to apply that in literally everything you do?
No matter when I was growing up, no matter what I was doing, my dad always made sure I was doing it right. And he always said, even if you're working at McDonald's serving French fries, you're going to be the best guy doing that. He said, no matter what you do, you have to work hard and you have to earn it. So when I played hockey, every day I was shooting pucks or doing something to get better at that every day. I learned how to skate in a span of 2 weeks, and I was starting to play hockey. And then when I decided I really wanted to be something with baseball, every day I was lifting or hitting or throwing or doing something to make myself as good as I can be.
Do you think that hockey, because, when you watch hockey, it's a completely different game than everything else you do. People can talk about football and they can talk about basketball and all the major sports all they want. But hockey is a grinder sport. Do you think that hockey helped you and prepared you for the journey that you're on right now and being and wearing the tools of ignorance day in and day out?
Obviously, because I just thought of hockey as an idea and it'd be fun. And then once I realized I wanted to play it, I really worked as hard as I could to pick up, because I started skating a lot later than other kids my age. So I just really worked so I could be good at it. And also hockey taught me how to be really tough. So anytime something strikes me, I know how to come back and respond.
One of the things I'm really interested, you are always, just go look at your stuff on Twitter. You're always promoting and on the recruitment trail. I love it. I think that some people see it maybe as you're pointing at you, but I see it differently. I think that you're planning your future and you're making sure you're shooting your shot, which I love and can appreciate, because for undersized baseball players like us, it's tough sometimes to stand out from the rest. But you continue to put the numbers together that stack up with anybody, not just in this area, but in the country, ET. And, when you decided to start doing that, what was in the back of your mind, and what made you want to continue to promote what you're doing and be seen constantly on social media networks?
Obviously, when I was about 8th grade going into my freshman year, I knew I wasn't going to get recruited then. But my plan was to start making an image of myself to show to everybody. So when I was in 8th grade going the freshman year, I started utilizing Twitter a lot. So just so I have stuff on there, and I'm still trying to build that image. So when you click on my Twitter or my Instagram or anything, you could go and see who I really am and see how I am in the classroom and on the field.
What's the image that you want to portray? What's the image you want to paint on this canvas that you've been building over the last 3 years?
Well, obviously the weight room, my hard work is my biggest thing. And most of my Instagram or Twitter, posts, I always put PHW, and that's like my saying, pure hard work, because everything I do is pure hard work. And that's the reason why I'm playing right now. And if it wasn't for hard work, I wouldn't be where I'm at right now.
You know, you're close friends with Mason Ludwig, who going to Toledo to play football. And obviously you guys are a battery when he goes on the bump. What kind of tips or advice has he maybe given you for the recruitment aspect of how to go about it, and, you know, what the expectations are? Because football is a heavy recruited sport, right? There's a ton of scholarships to be handed out, not to take anything away from necessarily a football scholarship, but baseball, there's just I think just over 11 scholarships per team, and it's always divided up. What kind of things has Mason given you from what he's gone through in the recruitment cycle?
He's taught me how to talk to coaches and how to contact them and like make film. And he's just showed me how to like respond to coaches with questions they want and told me to tell them what they want to hear.
I think we all can learn from that, right? You know, it's just being yourself, being out there. Mason has been just phenomenal at that. You've done the same thing. You're not necessarily, I mean, there's a lot of places you would love to go and play baseball, but, you know, the conversations that you and I have had, you kind of want to stay local, and you want to make sure that people can follow you from East Liverpool to wherever you end up. How important is it for you to be able to represent the city of East Liverpool?
I mean, it would be great. Before Mason and Eric Williams came around, we really didn't have any big-time athletes come out of here. We had guys go to small schools and stuff like that, but we haven't really had anybody that will, like, leave a mark. And when I leave here next year, I really want to leave my mark on East Liverpool.
What do you want people to remember most about the way that you play the game and the way that you carry yourself in the hallways of East Liverpool High School?
The way I never gave up and how I always pushed myself and pushed everybody else around me.
That was easy. That was an easy answer, a strong answer. I like it. All right, let's get to know you a little bit off the field. E.T., what is, when you go to a ballpark, where is it, and what is the go-to food at that ballpark?
PNC Park, you got to get the crab fries. But all honesty,
wait, time out. What the heck are crab fries?
I don't even know what they are. They're just like some sort of fries with cheese, and they're good.
Wow. Okay. All right. So PNC Park crab fries. What else?
And then Guardians games, when we go up there, their nachos are always the best.
Nachos at well, I always call it the Jake, but the Progressive Field. Okay. What fields have you gone to? What ballparks have you gone to across the country? Is it just those two, or have you been to more?
MLB or college, or both?
Name them. All of them.
Only MLB stadiums I've been at were the Reds, Great American Ballpark, Progressive Field, and PNC Park.
Okay.
Then colleges, Notre Dame, Maryland, Ohio State, Ohio University, Xavier, University of Cincinnati, WVU, Pitt, Penn State, Mercyhurst, North Carolina.
YSU, of course.
Eastwood's the top.
I love it, dude. Like, you are well-versed in going to these games. What do you most appreciate about the game, the college game? Because every level, most people don't realize this. Even high school, you know, from Little League is a different type of game, different type of atmosphere. What do you appreciate most about the college game of baseball?
I always drag my dad into going to YSU games with me somehow. And the main thing I always like is seeing what those guys are doing. Like, I want to be in their shoes one day. So what is Ian Francis doing? What are their catchers doing? What's the other team's catchers doing? How do they warm up before the game? What do they do in between games? What do they do during warm-ups? Anything.
I think I know a guy you respect a lot in the catcher fraternity, and that's Michael Patelis over at Canfield, who's just doing unbelievable things. You guys are the same year, which I think is absolutely phenomenal because that's a great catcher's year. We had him on the show yesterday. We talked about catching bullpens, and I think that's something that every catcher kind of smirks and smiles at whenever you hear it because it's kind of a rite of passage thing. Talk to me about when you started catching bullpens in as a freshman and kind of the way you feel about catching bullpens as a junior.
As a freshman catching bullpens, it's kind of like I got to look good. I got to do the best I can to make myself look good. And now it's kind of like I'm working on little stuff. I'm working on framing. I'm working on blocking. I'm working on different ways to set up and what looks the best. So I'm just working on little things now.
From a standpoint of calling pitches, would you rather have the coach call the pitches or do you like calling the game yourself?
I like calling the game myself. I like being in control of everything that's happening.
Do you get that opportunity or do you have to – they let you call pitches?
Yeah, with high school, I always have called my pitches because Coach May and Coach Ludwig have had that trust in me. And then for travel, usually like the first one or two games, the coaches will call, then they realize I know what I'm doing, so they let me take over from there.
What's the toughest thing that you've learned about having to call your own game?
If you call one wrong pitch and a guy hits a good ball, it's on you, and you just have to take that.
Such is life, dude. Such is life. The relationship that you have to have with pitchers, rather. I mean, it's a dynamic relationship. It's a love-hate relationship a lot of times. Have you had to learn to adjust accordingly to each particular pitcher, almost as a friendship?
Yeah, especially with high school and like Astros, the trial team I've been playing on. I'm knowing all the pitchers now, and I know how like their arm slot and where their ball is going to go. So that just depends on who it is, where I set up and adjust.
What about you go out there and you have conversations. Part of my favorite from the Little League on through high school into college was the conversations you can have out on the mound. When you call time and you can walk out or run out, jog out, whatever it is, to your pitcher, your battery mate. Have you ever had just a weird conversation? Just like, did you see the girl in the front row or, that, we got homework tonight or something along those lines? Or is it always a detail-oriented conversation for you? Are you all business all the time?
If I can see my pitcher's being nervous or if he's struggling a little bit and down, I just always try to go out and say something like funny to him or something to lighten up the mood and relax him. But like if my pitcher's missing spots on pitches I'm not calling and he's like shaking off pitches and not throwing them for strikes, I can't really say what I say to him out there.
Do you handle underclassmen pitchers differently than you handle guys that have been there before?
Yeah, like with high school ball, Jake and Mason and Malachi, all of them, I kind of like know how to deal with them. So I can like dig into them if I need to about something. But like our younger guys like Elijah Cisnetovich, Elliot Fitch, all of them, I kind of have to lighten it up so they can still get used to me because they're still new to me and they just have to like relax half the time.
Welcome to leadership, my friend. Everybody requires a different tool in the tool belt. So let's talk about in the dugout, man. What's the go-to seed nowadays for you?
It's different. If it's a close game, I like to be up on the fence and watching. But a lot of times, especially close to my bats, I just kind of sit there and take everything in. I like watching what the other team's doing, like certain things if someone's on base, what the pitcher's doing or what their coach in the dugout's doing. Or if their coach is calling pitches for their pitcher, I like picking up what he's doing so I can know what I'm getting.
Are you a sunflower seed guy or a bubble gum guy? What are you?
I chew gum now. I was in a little bit of a slump a couple games ago, and Gavin Miller, he's playing Auburn now. He gave me the advice to like do something different. Either if it was leave your shoe untied, chew gum. He even said put your zipper down. So I took the gum advice, and I do that every at bat now.
Well, I think we're all glad you kept the zipper up, but dude, I like that. What's different about being an upperclassman now as a junior? You're seen differently. What's different for you? What have you noticed most about carrying that junior moniker and heading into your senior year very soon?
As an underclassman, it was kind of like I got to stay in the shadows and just let my game speak for myself. Now being an upperclassman, it's like I have to lead. I have to make sure everyone's in line, and I just have to make sure my game's still backing up what I'm doing off the field.
All right, style. I mean, you have some of the best gear that I've seen. You always have the shades on when the sun's out. I mean, when you go into a game and you go into a season, do you have like what you want to look like picked out? And is it important to you to look good, play good, feel good?
Yeah, obviously it is. I always have my cleats picked out for high school right now. I have home and away cleats. I have different batting gloves I'll switch out, different tape and sleeves I'll switch out. I have different pants I'll wear sometimes, but I usually go with the same long pants look. Occasionally, I'll pull up the high socks. Then in summer, I have cleats for turf and molds, or molds and metal. And I have different cleats for Astros and release.
Wow. Let's go to and you listen, you look good. I'm just going to put it out there. As a guy that appreciates what catchers look like, you look good. But I have to ask you the question. I had an affinity and almost like a relationship with my mitt. And like a catcher's mitt is very important to a catcher, the way it feels, the way it catches. I mean, there's something to it, right? From your standpoint, how important is it to have your mitt and have that love relationship with something as material as your baseball glove?
I've been using it over a year now. I usually get a new one every year because once it starts to get floppy, I don't like it. I like kind of a stiffer glove. I'm currently working on breaking in my second glove right now, which it's kind of been going a little slow. But once I get that glove broken in, no one puts their hand in it.
I was going to go there. Okay, so if you see it happen, right, because it happens more oftentimes than people will ever admit, when someone puts their hand in your glove, what happens? Do you go all the way to 10? Like, do you go 0 to 10 as fast as you can, or what? How do you react?
I don't really say nothing because that just comes off bad, but I kind of just move it after. It doesn't really affect me that much, but
I lost my cool, dude. Like putting your hand in somebody's, and it's not a germ thing. That's mine. It's fitted and formed to my hand. Don't touch it because to me, it's a superstition. Like, why are you touching somebody else's? It got a little bit weird whenever coaches started grabbing the mitt and wanted to catch bullpens because, listen, I hated bullpens. By the time I was a senior, I was like, I caught enough bullpens throughout my life. I'm done with bullpens until college. So I appreciate that. E.T., as we wrap this thing up, what do you want people to know about you that maybe they don't? From a baseball perspective and just from being a great young man?
That I'm not where I'm supposed to be yet. I'm still working hard and I'm not finished. I'm going to get better. I'm going to get stronger. I'm going to get faster, and my play on the baseball diamond is going to improve. So especially with this summer with Astros and release and in the YSN, everything's going to be better. So don't think how I play now is how I play now. Just be ready.
You might be, and wink, wink, nudge, nudge. You might be the only person ever, or the first person ever, to go through high school and be in YSN, a YSN All-Star game 4 consecutive years. And I know that it is what it is, right? It's an All-Star game, but for you to have another accolade on top of everything that you're doing, does that mean something to you to be able to go from your freshman year to your senior year, hopefully, fingers crossed, to be that guy that's represented the blue and white?
Yeah, obviously I love playing in the YSN All-Star game. The past 2 years, it's been the highlight of my summer. And especially with getting to meet new kids all the time from other teams and forming a bond, it's amazing. And especially representing East Liverpool, being an underclassman the past 2 years, that was great. It was the best feeling, and I loved it. And hopefully, if I do get to achieve the goal of getting all 4 years, kids that will come up as freshmen see that it's not just the typical all-star game with just upperclassmen.
Well, we appreciate you, brother. I appreciate you more than most. You've been a young man who I love following from a standpoint of how you carry yourself on and off the field. And again, I don't know if this is a good thing or a bad thing. You remind me a lot of myself. So it is what it is, man. It's a blessing and a curse. So God bless you on that journey. But E2, this is the first of many, I'm sure. Well, not the first. You've been here. You're a veteran now. This is the first one of many, I'm sure, this summer, as we'll continue to follow you with the Astros as well. Continued success in the season as you guys get ready for the playoffs. And thanks as always for stopping by. And you always got a home here, brother.
Thank you for having me.
We believe expectations are made to be exceeded. At the new Toyota of Warren, it's about more than just getting a great deal. It's about service you can count on and a friendship you can trust. Year after year, we've done what we do best. We've gone the extra mile so you could too. Because we know it's just not about buying a new car. It's the start of a new adventure. Toyota of Warren, driven by you.
Before the lights come on, before the workday begins, before a long day is ended, or it's time to have fun. It all starts with the people at Joe Dickey Electric. From replacing a light fixture in your home to building a substation for your business, no job is too big or too small. The people of Joe Dickey Electric power them all. Joe Dickey Electric, over 60 years of powering the Mahoning Valley.
Why choose local? Because you live here, work here, learn here, relax here, and celebrate here. 21 WFMJ is our Valley's only locally owned TV station, and our focus is local. Other TV stations don't have that same focus, as their owners are somewhere else. But 21 WFMJ is rooted in the Valley. Local people making decisions that affect your life, right here where you live.
You're looking to your future, preparing for your goals, and they're closer than you think. Because here, success is part of the plan. It's a place where academic and social opportunities are meant to prepare you for life, not just the next 4 years. You'll be equipped to face new challenges and turn hard work into a career. You're ready for your success to take root. And here's where it starts. We are Youngstown State University, and proud.
Hi, this is Tommy Clem, owner of WRS Insurance Solutions.
WRS Insurance Solutions is a local independent agency that specializes in life, Medicare, long-term care, and disability products. Call us at 330-953-3722 or visit us at wrsinsuranceSolutions.com to learn more.
Good luck to all the student athletes in the Valley.
And welcome back, everybody, to the Ysn Power Hour on this Wednesday. I hope you're having a great day. Sun is shining, about 70 degrees or so, according to Storm Tracker 21. You can download that app for free right now in your Google Play Store or in your iPhone. No problems. And as asked, the next guests I'm going to bring in, very, very excited to talk to, because these have a lot of passion for not only kids in general, but the kids in the inner city. And they are doing everything they can, along with some others, to make sure that these kids have a fighting chance and have opportunities to keep on going and to have opportunities upon opportunities upon opportunities, bringing people in, having events. This last event that they brought in caught my attention because they brought over 250 of our youth into a football camp, just to introduce each other, familiar faces for down the road. And of course, being able to get to love and know the game of football. At this time, I bring in people I really respect, Pat Kenneth Donaldson and Nick Safara, longtime friend of the program. Gentlemen, how are you?
It's a good day. It's a great day. Doing well.
Doing good, DJ. Good to see you.
Good to see you. Pastor, we'll start with you. I know you were a big part of this event that brought over 250 of our youth. How did that start? What was the precipice of it, and why was it so important to have it, in Youngstown and to be able to give back to our youth?
Well, this is really the brainchild of Randy Triplett, and it was important to bring our youth in this summer and just to get them all together. And really what we're trying to do and what Randy wants to do is just change the narrative of athletics and our youth as a whole. And so that we're trying to do that with our board and our district. We're just trying to change that negative narrative that is put out about our kids in our district. And so, we have great leadership, and Randy Triplett has done a fantastic job reaching out to kids. They respect him. He's got a great following. So this was really Randy Triplett's deal.
So, from what I read, this was kids from 1st to 8th grade, correct? That you brought in to have this. Seems like Randy did an excellent job with this. Why is it so important during that age group between 1st grade, 8th grade, and maybe a little bit under, a little bit over, to bring these kids in to help them kind of form them and form their opinions of the game of football and sports in general and leadership?
Right. Well, those are the formative years. I played football, Little League football, from about 6 years old all the way up through college. I played at Middle Tennessee State. So I do understand the impact of athletics and discipline and decision-making, teamwork. So all of those things are real important for our youth at that age. And we're really trying to build young men. We have cheerleaders and such also, but we're really trying to build young people to be, team workers and a part of their community, and just giving them some skills that they may not get otherwise.
I know you guys have been really on the front lines from a standpoint of making sure you mentioned the negative connotations and I think that platforms like this will give you an opportunity to make sure that people know what exactly is going on in those rooms, both in the light and necessarily in the dark. People don't realize necessarily the things that you go through, or these young men and women go through in those formative years. What would you say you'd want people to know more than anything about why it's so important to lead, with them, be in the foxhole, in the trenches with them in these years, that they can basically create the rest of their lives?
Yeah, I think when we put people, like I said, I was born and raised here in Youngstown, Ohio, and played Little League football, and had some of the same challenges that they do. And so when they see people that look like them, that came from where they came from, they're doing things, are pretty successful in life, then they kind of believe that they can do the same thing. And so that's why we're trying to continue to put people in front of them. I'm also the chaplain over at YSU for the football team. We'll have, Jaleel came and spoke to our kids, and just putting just normal people in front of these kids, and letting them see themselves through the eyes of other people. And, at the same time, we're building character, we're building teamwork, we're helping them deal with conflict, respect, integrity, perseverance, all those characteristics that'll be helpful in helping them be productive citizens and fathers and leaders in our community.
I think it's incredible because, being a foster parent myself, I understand firsthand how things go and how things can get twisted very, very quickly. And especially with young men in our society. So if you're sitting there looking at how has sports been able to be a channel or a vessel for good in our inner cities?
Yeah, I'll hear comments like, man, they're spending so much money on sports and this and that, but they don't realize that for a lot of our inner city kids, their athletic ability is their way out. It's the platform to something new. I have a little bit of education, and it was because of football. When I finished college, I was able to work at the university that I played at because of football. I was able to get a master's degree because of football. I had a discipline and work ethic because of football. And so I was an all-around athlete. I had no desire to go to college. I just wanted to continue playing. And so, our kids, many of them, the athletic ability that they have is is uh, is their way out. It's their way to getting into college and to thinking about life outside of Youngstown, Ohio, and even coming back to Youngstown, Ohio, contributing. So that's a platform. Athletics is a platform for a whole lot. In fact, I'm somewhat biased, but I think athletes are much more marketable than just regular students at the college level, because you learn how to deal with adversity. You learn how to manage your time. You learn how to persevere. You get knocked down. You get hurt. I mean, there's just so many things. Football for me was life, and that's why I try to invest in those who invest in sports, because as you can see, our youth. This is not just inner city, but our youth are just not very disciplined. We're seeing a lot of stuff happening with our young people now across the country, and it's because of a lack of leadership, and it's because of a lack of discipline. And I think sports is the one of the main ways that we can give those kids what they're lacking. They may be lacking it from home, single parent homes. There's so many things that we can give them as coaches. I value my coaches to this day, because I realized that they were investing, they were putting something in me that would outlast my years playing football.
That's incredible. That what a testimony there, Nick. I'm going to point this one at you. From a standpoint, I mean, I know that this isn't just a Cheney thing. This isn't just East thing. This is a Youngstown City School District thing for the youth. Why is it so important to you? I mean, I know that we've seen, Cheney goes on and gets all this stuff from like the Cleveland Browns. And now I saw that, you guys had Browns representatives at this latest event. Why is it so important to bring some of these people in from these professional sports franchises and point to them and say, hey, listen, you can do this too. On a scale of 1 to 10, from your perspective, how critical is that to show people what they can do and our youth, what they can achieve if they just put their mind to it?
Yeah, no, I mean, it's been great. It's been great from the high school down to the middle schools, down to the youth. I mean, what Randy's done and what Ronnie Casey, we don't want to discredit, like you said, Cheney and Ronnie Casey either. What they're doing at the youth level is allowing our middle schools to flourish. Our numbers are improving at both of our middle school buildings. Our football numbers are improving, which then obviously is leading to better numbers at the high schools as well. So it's huge. It's great to show what we can do here. We are also blessed to show off our brand new turf facility that we showed off last year. Give kids an outlet to what we have here and the opportunities that are here. And then, of course, showing any chance we get to show off our kids. And, I mean, come on, we got, DJ and Jason going to Michigan next year up from Cheney High School. So we have a lot of kids going into college programs. And the biggest goal from us is just to be able to show that it can be done here. A lot of the narrative is you got to get out of here to make something happen. And we're just trying to make sure everybody sees that that's not the truth. That stuff can get done here. Randy won their league last year at the youth level. East Middle School football was arguably the best middle school team in the area. Cheney High School football was one of the best high school football teams in the area. East is working their way back up at the high school level, and Cheney Middle School competed all year as well. So just to show what we can do here and show our kids the chances that they have here and what we have, our facilities are all brand new and beautiful. I'm sure you've seen baseball over at East. We're getting the turf down at both of the high schools now for football too. So the beauty of it is just to show, like you guys have been saying this whole time, show our youth what we can do here. And the 250 kids coming out is a good sign, because Pastor can tell me if I'm wrong too, but I don't think we expected 250. The goal is obviously to have a lot of kids, but I remember talking to Randy the days before. I'm like, are you really prepared for this? And he was like, man, you really think we're gonna get that many kids up there? And I said, yeah, I think you're gonna get a lot. I don't think, sometimes we discredit ourselves. What Randy's done has been unbelievable.
Right.
Again, we have, so this, and again, I don't want to discredit anybody else. I mean, we have a college showcase coming today. Casey Boger and those guys over at Cheney High School and Seth have set up a college showcase at the high school level up at Rand Stadium tonight. So we'll be up there tonight with all the local kids here again today, with all the colleges coming down to see our high school athletes. And then Ronnie Casey's got his camp going on next Saturday. So just outlets for our youth, something for our kids to continually do, show off our facilities, show off what we can do. And like Pastor said, we have a lot of really good coaches in the area here, and hopefully we just keep plugging away. But, the biggest impact is just to continue those numbers and continue the success, the step ladder going from youth to middle to high, which has been a huge blessing for us last year, from cheerleading to football to even basketball.
So my next question, a little bit more, I don't know, maybe both of you can kind of chime in on this one. So just from my perspective, being able to see from the high school level to middle school on down, it seems like you guys get kind of a one strike policy with other communities. Like if let's say, you look at a score, they're not going to schedule you anymore, or, a bus runs late, they're not going to schedule you anymore. Things like that. Talk to me about the frustrations behind some of that. And I think a lot of, I don't know where it comes from. I don't understand it. Maybe you guys can kind of help me out with this, and letting the people that, say, well, this school doesn't schedule this school because, like, we haven't, at least to my knowledge, we haven't got a whole lot of that in information. Can you guys help me out of why you think that perception is that you only get, one shake at the stick as opposed to multiple?
You want to jump first?
Yeah, well, I mean, I hate to say it, but a lot of it is just the narrative that is put out there about Youngstown as a whole. They portray us as violent and uneducated people. And so it's that constant narrative. And so what we're trying to do is to recreate a narrative that truly reflects who we are. And so when for instance, when crime happens, and crime happens in every city, but if it's close to you, a lot of times they will, in the news, they'll put it, a Youngstown resident, but they may live in Boardman, they may live in the outskirts of Youngstown, but they always put them in Youngstown. And so it's that narrative that you need to stay out of Youngstown. And at the same time, Youngstown, of course, as far as athletics, is a hotbed for athletes. And so these surrounding communities have no problem coming into Youngstown to get our athletes, but then they continue that negative narrative. It's like our kids are only good when they are benefiting somebody else. And so it is quite frustrating. We have a good number of people that are graduating from East High School and Cheney High School. I think Makia Merriweather, she played basketball at Teal. She graduated maybe 3 or 4 years ago, just graduated. And we have kids at Ohio State. We have scholars all over the place who are doing great things. But we got to keep pushing that negative narrative. They're violent. In fact, we had a Little League. We had some things going on with our Little League with the Bears, and the narrative that they push is if you go over to Rand Stadium, there are going to be fights. They're going to be, there's going to be violence, and you need to be prepared. And it's just the frustration is when people come and they say, wow, this was one of the most organized Little League teams I have ever seen. We've heard people say that. Mm-hmm. And so it's a surprise, and it's frustrating because it's a surprise that we're organized, that we love our kids, that we're instilling good sportsmanship. Though all those things are a surprise to people because they have heard so often that you don't want to go to Youngstown. They're violent. There's no telling what might happen to you. But they see the exact opposite. And then when you have things like Little League leadership, going behind closed doors and starting another league and not inviting your team into the league. And we won the championship. So we're highly competitive. When you have that type of thing, that just perpetuates this negative narrative. And then they start looking for reasons to exclude us. And in doing so, they exclude our kids. And so it perpetuates the negative narrative, even with kids. They're like, well, why doesn't the little bear play with us anymore? Well, they have to come up with a negative narrative to support their bad decisions. And it's really not the kids. These are adult issues that perpetuates the lie about Youngstown and the residents of Youngstown. And so that's extremely frustrating. And the fact that we have a high population of minorities, living in this day and time, we don't do our kids justice if we don't put them around people who look different than them, so that they all could see, hey, listen, we all bleed, we all get disappointed, we all have good people, and we have bad people in our communities. It is extremely frustrating. It's non-ending. When I go to the games, I'm typically dressed like this for a reason. Yep. I want the kids to see what a professional Black man looks like, because the ones that are on TV, the ones that may have made some mistakes in life, they portray and parade them on TV. And that's all the other communities think of when they see a Black man. And so I go to the games dressed up so that they can see something different than what they've seen on, the news that's highlighting an African American that have made some poor decisions.
I love it.
And if I'll chime in a little bit too, because we want to make sure we keep youth, and then obviously OHSAA sanctioned sports a little bit different too. I think a lot of the other local schools have seen what we're trying to do here. They've been very gracious to us. We haven't really had issues scheduling games like we've had in the past. One of the challenges, and I'll speak more towards, we just brought back our middle school sports, so I'll speak more towards that, is one of the challenges is with us not being in a conference, and especially at the middle school and the lower levels, these other schools' schedules are already filled. So we're kind of like we're calling and plugging in like, hey, can you fit us here? Can you fit us here? Can you fit us here? So we have good schedules. I mean, our fall schedules are full. We're still playing all the schools that we played in the past. I think, the years of the late buses and the years of that stuff at the OHSAA level sports, I think other school ADs and superintendents and principals have seen that, we are trying to do better. We're representing better because, we're not perfect, of course. We have shown up late to some events, but a lot of that happens. It happens everywhere. It's just
that's everywhere. Yep, you're right.
When it happens with us, it always seems to be a little bit bigger of an issue, but it does happen everywhere. Our bus garage has worked extremely hard. We were only late, and I know it's like not funny, but it's funny. But we were late, I think, one time this year to an event. So everybody's working pretty hard to make sure we get where we got to go on time. We're representing well. Our kids and our coaches are representing well. But other school districts at the OHSA levels have noticed that. I mean, we haven't had issues scheduling other schools. We haven't had issues scheduling outside teams. We've spent time, out Crestview, Columbiana. I mean, out with schools that we haven't played in the past as well. So it's frustrating when you're trying to fill a schedule, though, for sure. And then, it never helps when your sports are kind of unlevel. And I say that again respectfully to our kids, but when your softball, your volleyball, and some of your our baseball programs are not where our football and basketball is, it does make it tough for other conferences and things like that to want us to join in because again, you guys get it. When your football game is a good game, but then your baseball game is a 30-0 blowout, nobody's really learning anything in the 30-0 blowout. So, but I think we're getting closer. Schedules, like I said, schedules aren't hard to fill right now, which has been a blessing. We're still independent. We're at the lower levels, of course. So I think we're getting closer. I think things have moved better. We haven't really had too many issues this last couple of years.
I'll just throw this in at the Little League level because I saw it. Instead of saying, hey, those kids have been coached very well, they're extremely disciplined, they're skilled. We heard things like, I don't know what you're teaching your kids. That was a dirty tackle or whatever. It's always an excuse to why our kids might be better at that level. And so that is extremely frustrating.
Yeah, I can't even imagine it. And listen, I've coached at the youth levels before. I've seen it, and obviously we've broadcasted it. You know, sometimes when you win, there's nothing other than excuses for the other side, you know, and it's a troublesome. That's not just in Youngstown. That's everywhere. You know, you can go to you go Columbiana County, you can go to San Francisco, and it's going to be the same thing. Where if there's a team that's blowing out another team, it's poor sportsmanship, it's stuff like that. So
Right.
never good to see, but it's you know, unfortunately, it's not just here. One thing that I want to kind of close this up with, guys, is what do you think is one misconception about the, you know, Youngstown City School District and the youth sports specifically that you constantly get and you're trying to shake this narrative of? And I know we've talked about a few of them already, but is there anything else that you think is a misconception or misleading about what you guys are trying to do and the way you're trying to do it?
Well, as a school board member, and before I got involved with the school board, I was a volunteer for 14 years in all of the schools, and much more in all of the schools now than I was. But one of the biggest misconceptions that's really hard to shake is that you get a inferior education in Youngstown City School. That is one of the biggest ones to shake. You know, we just had a graduation, our first graduation class with the Rand Early College. We graduated 71 students. I think 43 of those students has associate degrees. We've had media outlets say, well, the kids can't read and this and that. And so again, it's media pushing the negative narratives. Now, certainly we've got some challenges in our community. We've got challenges in our schools, but we've got A1 principals, we've got A1 students, and it's really a good district. It's just hard to convince people. It's unfortunate that people are shocked when they put their kids in the district and the kids are excelling academically and they're excelling athletically. And so we say, this is what's happened, you know, this is what's happening in our district. But, you know, the outside forces are really trying to put, oh, you know, you can go there and play football, but hey, man, you're not going to be prepared for college. When we're preparing kids for college every day and they're going to college and they're graduating. So that is one of the biggest things, is that you're going to get a subpar education if you go to the Youngstown City School District. And that is just not the case.
Nick?
And I know, well, you know, Pastor, I'll let Pastor kind of plug it too, but YRE sees another opportunity that our kids have inside of our school district, Youngstown Early College too. So I don't know if Pastor wants to speak on that. He can, but to kind of go on the question you had, one of the things that frustrates me is like when we're at games, and I know nobody means any harm by it, but you know, you'll get the visiting team or you'll get somebody come up and, you know, they're kind of like, oh, the game was pretty good. And I'm like, yeah, I appreciate it. But it's like, what did you think? Did you think we weren't going to have, you know, the scoreboard turned on? Did you think we weren't going to have, you know, referees at the game? So it's almost just like, we're working really hard to change. And again, you know, nobody's perfect. I know there's been history and I know there's been a past and everything else, but like trying to just change that narrative of what we do here is not what they do at other schools and what they do at other facilities and what they do at other athletic events is, you know, the biggest thing that we're just trying to change. And I think Randy and Ronnie Casey are doing a great job starting to change that culture at the lower level. And like I said, we're going to continue just to change it from top to bottom. I mean, Cheney High School has been extremely successful. East High School's more behind. I know Travis done the best he can over there. Tanisha has been great too. So, you know, we're trying our best everywhere. And that's kind of the biggest frustration though, is when people, you know, expect what they think they're going to get when they come. And then when it doesn't happen, it's almost like, whoa, that, you know, there wasn't a fight at the game or you know, there, you know, something didn't happen at the game or there were officials. So that's the biggest thing. We're just trying to kind of mold and change. And like I said, I think we're getting better and better every year. There's obviously things we got to continue to improve on. We make mistakes. Trust me, we're nowhere near perfect. Our coaches are nowhere near perfect. So the goal is just, again, to continue just to change that narrative the best we can, provide a fun, safe atmosphere for our kids and for the visiting teams coming in and parents and families. And just kind of do the best we can. So we're trying. Everybody's trying. Everybody in the piece is trying. Our kids are trying as well. Our kids are working on behaviors, and we do a lot more than just practice football and basketball and baseball. I mean, again, Pastor can touch on it a lot deeper. We spend almost 1 or 2 days a week on character building and just different avenues and, how to respect different things differently. So, like I said, we're just trying to change, that narrative the best we can.
Yeah, and athletics is just a platform for us to teach the deeper principles of life. Because at some point, I tell the guys at YSU, I played in college, and of course I wanted to go to the NFL, and, a million other kids that went to college and had a good amount of ability felt the same way. But at some point, you've got to hang those shoes up. You've got to return your helmet, and somebody else is going to be wearing your helmet, and you're going to graduate and move on. And 10, 15, 20 years, they won't even remember your name for the most part. And so, but the things that you gain through athletics, that drive, doing things when nobody's watching, the integrity, that work ethic, that grind, that the spirit of dominance that says, listen, you know what, you're not going to beat me again. I'm going to find a way to win. I'm going to be competitive in whatever area I'm in. And so those are the things that we're trying to teach kids, because listen, they're looking at the same messages that the media is putting out, and we thank God for mediums like this where we can put out some positive, but they see the negative also. And if they don't hear or are not put in contact with people who are saying that you can be this, you don't have to be this. I realize that, and we're teaching a generation of kids how to be cycle breakers. I know that your dad may not have been here or whatever, or your mom, whatever. And so it is what it is, but here's what you can do to create a new cycle for your family. And
incredible.
So you can be what your parents may not have been for you.
I love it. I'm pumped up now. And I love this. I love the story. I love the cycle breaker type of mentality that you guys have down there with coaches and student athletes and teachers and administrators like you guys. I want to tell you, you're on the right track. There's not a whole lot of people that are telling you that you're doing a great job, and you are appreciated for what you do. So God bless you. Thank you so much for the time today. Thank you for the time you put in every day for the future of sports in Youngstown and the future of our kids in Youngstown. Because listen, I get it. When Kelly Pavlik wins a world title, everybody's from Youngstown. But whenever there's a lead story in the 11 o'clock news, it's hard to associate with that. So, guys, God bless you. As someone from East Palestine, I get the negative narrative. So, God bless you. Keep doing what you're doing. Thank you for the time today, and I hope to talk to you real soon when all the things are successful.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thanks, DJ.
It is the Joe Dickey Electric What's Your Spark, presented by our friends over at Joe Dickey Electric. Anything commercial, residential, industrial, anything that makes you go bzzzt. Head on over to DickeyElectric.com. Tell them YSN sent you. So today, obviously a beautiful day out. Got a lot of stuff going on the network, and that's exciting. But the takeaways for me today, when you talk to a young man like Evan Tice, who has so much not only potential, but has already done so much in his young career on the field and off the field. And you talk to the gentleman we just talked to, with the pastor and Nick Safera, it puts things in context. It puts things in perspective for what essentially we're trying to do here. And that is bring out the good, right? Sports is a tool that it should be and typically is used for good. And obviously there's sometimes that you look at it and you roll your eyes, but sports gets you ready and prepared for life. And what that life looks like is a lot of times up to us. And there was a quote today that I saw that I shared on my social media that basically says, is this destination where you're going to be buried, or is it simply where you skinned your knee? Jake Thompson of the Compete Everyday podcast put that out there, and I loved it because I think so often in our lives we make a bigger deal out of bad things that happen to us, right, than they really are. And you've got kids that are growing up and people that are growing up. I mean, you've got 7th, 8th graders that are raising their family. And I'm not, that's not bull. That's straight. I can tell you that there's conversations that I've had with people offline that there are 12-year-olds, 13-year-olds raising their family because that's what they have to do. Sports is an outlet, yes, but it's also an opportunity. And as Pastor Donald said, sometimes it's the ticket to get you where you otherwise weren't going to go. And that's why I think it's important when people laugh at people that have big dreams. What are we laughing at? I think we all have big dreams. It's just some of us decide that we're going to give up at some point because somebody told us we couldn't do it, or because situations dictated that we could not, had to put them on hold. And sometimes we never get back to them. Listen, I don't know who I am or anybody is to tell somebody they can't do something that they want to do. Just point blank. I think that we all miss the greatest opportunity of living in this beautiful country that we live in, with all the freedoms that we have, for all the people that fight for those freedoms and died for these freedoms. We have the freedom to dream. And I can just tell you from one dreamer to another, keep going, keep dreaming big, because you never know when the opportunity is going to come, and when your number is going to be called. And if you've already given up on it, then that means that's going to be somebody else's dream to accomplish and to become reality. So hopefully you're out there and you everybody listen to that last interview, because that was special. And you look at a guy like Evan Tice, who he's got big dreams. And I think that all of us can accomplish them. And if we're working together and when hey, let's root for each other for once, huh? Let's root for each other. That's the show for today. Thanks to all our guests for coming on today. Thanks to you for tuning in. And thanks to all our sponsors for making it possible. Tune in tomorrow, Thursday's edition of the YSN Power Hour. And of course, a lot of content going on the website tonight. A lot of live broadcasts and live streams on the network as well. Head on over to ysnlive.com/live for a complete listing of all of those. And of course, stay up to date on ysnlive.com and our social media platforms. My name's DJ. Be safe, but most importantly, be yourself. We'll see you tomorrow.